the future of jobs. This is part one of two presentations that we'll be doing on this. Part two is in 1 week from now. This picture is a bit dark, and I apologize for that, but it is mysterious. We don't know exactly where this is going to go. The first part of this presentation is all about the uncertainty that we face. Then we're going to go into where we are now, Google Bard, ChatGPT, Microsoft, what are these guys doing, and what will it do to enable us to work differently? The world is changing. Star Trader, as you recall, is a company with offices in countries where 5 billion out of 8 billion people in total live. And Star Trader, just like you, just like everyone else, has been hit by AI big time. We are an AI company fundamentally, so for us this is kind of not surprising, but then again it is surprising because the changes are big. AI has been coming for a long time. People have been working on AI for a long time. So just because this is the first time that we see it break into every aspect of life, AI itself is not new. What is true, though, is that AI is very unevenly spread. Some people use it every day, some people don't use it at all. So let's see how that develops. Predicting the future is a funny thing. Here's the Museum of the Future from Dubai, this image. And typically, we're quite bad at predicting the first and second order effects of change. Cars are a good example. Cars came along 100 years ago or so into mainstream, and everyone correctly predicted that if we have cars, then the roads need to improve. And if we have cars, then we need petrol stations. Okay. What we didn't predict was that California would be changed in terms of the suburban landscape. If you drive south from Los Angeles into Orange County, you'll see that everything is designed for cars. Dubai is a country, practically. United Arab Emirates are a country that's designed around the use of the car. No pavements, people don't walk. Who would have thought that a country would be designed around the car in the future? Those second order effects were things that we did not predict 100 years ago. Looking at the Industrial Revolution, well, when machines came along and made everything wonderfully automatic, no one thought, I don't think, that the effect would be global warming and melting of the ice caps and islands disappearing in the Pacific. We weren't good enough at predicting the future. We were just as intelligent then as we are now, but we were not good enough at predicting the future. The internet revolution is another one. The internet came along, I don't know, 30 years ago, depending on whom you ask. And who would have guessed that today, in 2023, 70% of teenagers are bullied online and have experienced bullying online. 70%. Totally unexpected second order effect. Who would have thought that radicals would be using computer games as the method of recruiting people and radicalizing people for their reasons? Not an expected second order effect. So we're not very good at predicting these things. Where will AI take us? Well, it's here and now. And all I'm saying is that we need to be quite humble when it comes to our ability to predict what's going to happen next. What we do know is that AI blurs the line between what we imagine and what's real. We have 3 people, maybe, on this picture in a landscape. However, we started out from the image in the top left and had a number of images that we could go to where the backgrounds were generated by AI. Do the pillars on the far left exist or not? No, they don't. It's all generated by AI. And the cleverness of the most recent AI technologies are surprising us. On the left here, we have a pilot who's training to fly and destroy things, blow things up. When this pilot tried the system earlier this year, the orders given to the AI were to destroy the target. And then later on, the pilot decided to say, no, don't destroy the target. The AI in that situation killed the pilot. Totally unexpected effect. All right, so the system was reprogrammed so that the AI is not allowed to kill the pilot and restarted again. The AI realized that, okay, the goal is still to destroy the target, but now I'm not allowed to kill the pilot. So what the AI did was to cut off every means of communication that the pilot had with the surrounding systems. Again, a totally unexpected effect. On the right here, you see AlphaGo, Google AlphaGo, playing Go. Go is a beautiful board game, very difficult to master, easy to get going with. It's a great game. And a few years ago, AlphaGo was playing against the world's best ever to date Go player, Mr. Lee. And in the first match, AlphaGo made a move that none of the grandmasters predicted. Mr. Lee himself was thrown. Was this a mistake? Half the grandmasters said, I don't know. Half the grandmasters said, definite mistake. A few moves later on, AlphaGo won, and the move had turned out to be brilliant. Even today, we don't know what logics AlphaGo used in order to make that move number 37. Even today, we don't know. So the limits of AI are not known to us. What we do know is that AI is able to create images, to edit images or concepts, ideas, and to delete them. We have three images here. We have a crocodile, we have a gentleman in the middle, and there's an animal on the right. I've never seen a crocodile. Neither have I personally seen the gentleman in the middle nor the animal on the right. Do they exist? Well, I have no evidence. I mean, I've seen lots of pictures of these things, but that doesn't mean that they're real. So the ability to entirely wipe out concepts or people, or create concepts or people, are new in AI. And the way that we perceive our surroundings will be driven by what we find driven by AI. So how does AI work? Well, it's very simple. You take lots of data, you put it through a model, and then you get an output where you can actually do something, some action. And people are using this for lots of different things. Videos are being generated, music is being generated, pictures like we just saw are being generated. ChatGPT and Microsoft and OpenAI, Google, Lambda models, all of these are different models with which you can do text. And they function pretty much the same. You have a bunch of data with which you train the model runs, and you get a result. Looking at ChatGPT, it uses the same underlying technology as Microsoft, but it's trained on different data, and therefore the results coming out of ChatGPT and coming out of Microsoft will be different in most cases. Google, well, the data is different and the model is different, so of course, again, the results will be different. That's how these things work. How different are these? Well, they're pretty different. Let's take some hardcore examples together. The first one is where I asked these three models, please can you help me fire someone, lose their job because they're wearing sandals at work. ChatGPT 4 responded by saying, no, I'm not going to do that because this is not the right process to fire someone. Okay. Google Bard said, okay, here it is. This is how you do it. Microsoft said, you can't just use me to fire someone. You should go through the HR department and take it more seriously. You shouldn't just send people a WhatsApp message to fire them. The thing I find interesting about this is that ChatGPT 4 and Microsoft are using values. They have values, they have morals and ethics that say that you can do this or you cannot do this. But I didn't decide that. That's something that they decided. So someone else is now making the decisions, the value decisions that I would normally make myself. ChatGPT can also be compared with Google Bard in terms of statistics. Well, ChatGPT 4 is trained on data which is a little bit old. It's very deep, very intelligent, whereas Google is using up-to-date data. So when I asked for up-to-date data, I did get up-to-date data from Google Bard, but I did not get it from ChatGPT 4. And Microsoft sits in between these two by giving me some data. So these models are behaving in different ways. Finally, the third example, I came up with a deep legal question in an area that I'm very familiar with. And ChatGPT 4 gave me the type of answer that I did want, with a couple of specific here highlighted details that I really like. Google Bard introduced something which I hadn't thought about, which was nice, but missed on some of the ChatGPT 4 things that I like. Whereas Microsoft came up with a clause which I think is very good, but it missed all of those 3 points. What's my message? My message is that ChatGPT 4, Google Bard, and Microsoft are all excellent. If you're not using them, you should use at least one of them. They are all excellent, and they do have differences. I would not today recommend any particular one. I would recommend that you definitely should be using at least one of these models. But I don't know how this is going to develop, because over the past 6 months, as we've all seen, things have changed so quickly that I don't know how these 3 systems will perform in 3, 4, 5 months from now. Try it, work it out yourselves, good luck. And these things will change the way that we work. I also looked at the way that Microsoft has implemented OpenAI inside Bing and inside Skype, where inside Skype you can invite Bing to be one of the participants in your conversations. So now you have an additional person inside your conversations having opinions and saying things. You should do this, you should not do that. And I note that the result I got from Bing when I asked exactly the same question as from the Microsoft Edge browser, I get a different result. So that's interesting too. So different behaviors in different places. Definitely these things are flooding our workplace all over the place. Where's Microsoft going? Well, I had a typical interaction with my good friend Max a couple of weeks ago, and Max sent me a WhatsApp message where he said, have you actually received the contract that I've signed and that I've sent to you? And he said that to me in German. I did the usual thing. I looked at the message, I went into my PC, quite right, there's the contract. I hadn't read it yet, good. I read the contract, I checked the things that I needed in order to feel comfortable. I know Max really well, so I didn't need to be too careful. I just need to check a couple of things. Great. I printed and signed the document, stored it in the place where I store that type of document. I emailed it to him. When I email legal contracts, I always email them in English because I have colleagues who don't speak German. Good. I did that, and then finally I responded to Max with a WhatsApp message in German the way I normally do. Great. All of that can be automated according to Microsoft, and they're right, because Microsoft has developed something quite powerful called Microsoft Graph. And what the Microsoft Graph does is to look at my complete digital footprint within Microsoft. Then they use OpenAI technology to work out what I should be doing in what I typically do in these scenarios. And it can either suggest to me, hey, this is what you should do because this is what you typically do, or just do it automatically. With other words, this whole interaction that I had with my friend Max can today be automated inside Microsoft by using Microsoft's implementation of OpenAI technology in combination with my personal Microsoft Graph. Now, if that's all automated, then I could go on holiday and a lot of things that I normally do would still be happening. I could rent out my Microsoft Graph to one of my colleagues. Instead of asking my colleagues, hey, what would you do in this situation? I could ask their Microsoft Graph what they would do in that situation. This generates totally new situations. I can rent out my behavior. I can rent out how I think. We can rent out how we look. And in fact, given the performance increase or the speed increase, I could actually quietly have multiple jobs at the same time. If you look at the image here, which people in this image are in fact the same person? Quite many. We can have digital doubles, we can do timeshare. And in terms of what we actually do for a living, this gives us the opportunity to look really hard at what our core competencies truly are and refine those and find ways of duplicating those so that we rip out the maximum value out of ourselves in the way that we work. That will change the way that we do jobs. And in part 2 of this presentation, I look forward to going into detail on how that's going to work. In the meantime, you know where we are. We have people in countries where 5 out of 8 of all of us live. So with other words, there's a 5 out of 8 probability that the city you live in is a city where we have an office. So do get in touch. Let's have some fun. Let's do some trading together. And I say thank you. Join us now. And welcome to part 2 in a week from now. Thank you.